Hey, what is up, my guy? Hello, it has been a long time. I'm currently coming from a cold, so if you can sense a different sound, that is why. But it is that time of the year, my favorite time, when I get to talk to you about the films that have come out this year that I watched. My 2025 film review. Look, this year was interesting for films. Some were really good, some were really bad, and we're gonna get into it. I have watched 48 films that have come out this year, and that's almost double than what I did last year. I don't know, this year I was like, I really need to up my game, I really need to up my ante by watching more films that have come out. We're gonna start off from the very bottom, of course, and lean our way up to the top. We have Flight Risk, which has Mark Wahlberg in it, directed by Mel Gibson. Crazy, never direct again. Sorry. A US Marshal escorts a government witness to trial after he's accused of getting involved with a mob boss, only to discover that the pilot who is transporting them is also a hitman sent to assassinate the informant. After they subdue him, they're forced to fly together after discovering that there are others attempting to eliminate them. Can I ever read? No. Look, it sounded like it had some potential and it really didn't. I rated it 1 star. I found it to be very boring, and it was one of those like films where it kind of gave the vibe of like it was filmed during COVID. And you know, like when there's a film of like the location is so like limited, it's like they're stuck in a box or something. Like you can just kind of tell that when they were making it, it was in a time when it was either very low budget or COVID times when they're not really meant to have like a lot of people around, and they're using like a very bad plot to kind of still make the film. This was kind of like that. They were basically in a plane the whole time, and that was just really disappointing. It wasn't great at all. So I rated it 1 star purely because it was just bad, and the 1 star rating was for, I don't even know why, to be honest. Oh, it was horrible. End of story. Next up we have Honey Don't. Honey Don't was directed by Ethan Coen, and Honey Donahue, a small-town private investigator, delves into a series of strange deaths tied to a mysterious church. And this, I rated 1.5 stars, and I was really looking forward to Honey Don't just because it has, you know, Aubrey Plaza, Margaret Qualley, Chris Evans, like, you know, I was like, ooh, okay, period. And it just wasn't good. I felt that the film itself was going into too many genres, and it was trying to be too many things, and to the point where you kind of sat there and you're like, I'm confused, I don't know what's going on, I don't know how to feel, I'm bored, I'm confused, I'm lost, I don't know what's happening. It wasn't good storytelling in my opinion. The 1.5 stars is purely for Margaret Qualley and Aubrey Plaza. I also didn't like about this film was the fact that it was directed by a man. That in itself is not the problem. If you've watched it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I just find it very strange and disturbing for male directors to include certain scenes where like a woman is like completely nude. I understand that if it's part of the story, but there was like a whole moment when Aubrey Plaza's character and Margaret Qualley's character like went at it in bed, and then they finished, and you can see Margaret's like boobs the whole time. She's just like lying in bed, and like that's just a shot and they're just like talking. That just felt so unnecessary to me, and it just shows like this was directed by a man, and that's what annoys me, because it's just, why is a woman's body in that objectifying way what you want to direct and produce? That just doesn't sit right with me. And there was just a lot of other things in that just like really annoyed me. Like Chris Evans played a like cult leader priest person, and his whole thing was like having sex with the people, like the churchgoers, I don't know, and he was having sex with them, and it was just like so visible, like you could just see the women and like every part of them. Like that just to me is one, bad writing and bad directing, and just gross. Like you don't need to put a woman's body on display like that and objectify them in that way to get your story across. And also what story, because I have no clue what this fucking film was about. It was bad. Yeah, I just found it very confusing. Next up I have Warfare, which was directed by Ray Mendoza, Alex Garland, a platoon of American Navy SEALs on a surveillance mission gone wrong in insurgent territory. A boots-on-the-ground story of modern warfare and brotherhood told in real time and based on the memory of the people who lived it. I rated this one 2 stars. When did I watch this? I watched this in July, and I don't really remember much about it. I feel, when I watched it, I'm trying to like go back into my mind palace. What did I think about it? I think I just found that film to be quite, again, boring, and it wasn't in the storytelling way. I found it interesting that it was directed and told by someone who lived in that moment, in that time of like the warfare and everything. So I found that to be quite interesting. I just felt that the execution of it felt a little bit flat, and I think a lot of it was just kind of like, it was kind of more like documentary. I don't know, it just didn't feel that interesting to watch. Again, I enjoyed the story, but I just felt like I was bored sitting there watching it, if that makes sense. The actors, I feel like they did fine. I also was sitting there watching it and thinking like, just when is this gonna end? Like, I was getting bored really quickly. Next up I have Love Me, which was directed by Andrew Zuchero and Sam Zuchero. In a story that spans billions of years, a buoy and a satellite meet online long after humanity's extinction. As they learn what life was like on Earth, they discover themselves and what it means to be alive and in love. This film, I liked the idea of it. I loved the story idea. I just felt that watching it, it did not give what needed to be gave. It just felt like, como se dice, not good. Like, it was fine, it just was not what I wanted it to be, and I felt very like bored in some moments. I felt like it was too long. I often felt watching it that it could have been a short film, like 10 minutes. It did not need to be, what was it, like an hour and a half? That was my issue with it as well, was it just felt too long. This fake world online of like creating characters like from The Sims and stuff like that, and it was just like them finding new ways to like, you know, be together, and the way that the buoy was trying to like come to self and their own journey and who they are. It just, I don't know, there was just many things in it that I didn't really like, and it was like cute, but it was also boring and I just felt like it could have been a short film. It did not need to be a whole like hour and a half. The 2 stars are purely for Kristen Stewart and Stephen Yeun. I don't know, it just like kind of annoyed me. The fact of like back and forth of like seeing them actually be people, and that couple which the buoy was trying to like replicate. I don't know, there was just, yeah. Anyway, next one. Night Always Comes, directed by Benjamin Caron. Facing eviction in a city her family can no longer afford, a woman plunges into a desperate and increasingly dangerous all-night search to raise $25,000. This movie pissed me the fuck off because I rated it 2 stars, but my god, if you haven't seen this film, don't watch it. Just did not like the ending of how it all played out. This woman went through hell and back to get this money to save her house and to, you know, make sure that her mom and her brother didn't end up on the streets, that sort of thing. The daughter, she was like doing everything she could, went to like, you know, get like loans and things, and she was like, Mom, like you have to show up, you have to sign this thing. And she was like, no. And then she had money to save the house. The mother, she ended up spending the money on a brand new car. Fuck you, bitch. So annoying. Anyway, this woman goes through hell and back. She steals a car, she does drugs, she like sells drugs, this whole thing, just for her to get the money in the end. And then her mom's like, I never wanted this house in the first place, I don't want to keep it, And then the daughter just like leaves, gives the money back to her friend that she stole from, gives her mom some money and was like, I'm leaving. Girl, what? That pissed me off. The ending just like really annoyed me. When I'm watching it, I was like, oh my god, like how the hell is this gonna end? She is doing so many bad things right now. She's like literally like stealing from her friend. Like she stole $3,000 from her friend. And then she met this guy that she works with who ended up like double crossing her and like stealing her money and stuff. And then she hit him with a stolen car. Girlie was doing like the most, and like I get it, like you had to do what you had to do, and that was, yeah, just like crazy. And then in the end, her mom's like, no, I don't want this house, I want to get rid of it, enough's enough. And that's just it. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Are you kidding? That was it. I just sat there for like almost 2 hours for what? 2 stars for Vanessa Kirby. That was basically it. Next up I have Guns Up. This was also a 2-star film directed by Edward Drake. When a job goes horribly wrong as an ex-cop, family man who moonlights as a mob henchman has one night to get his family out of the city. This has Kevin James and Christina Ricci, and This one I watched more recently. Kevin James, I don't know, there's something about him that I don't particularly like. He was fine in Grown Ups. I don't know. There's just something there, you know? Christina Ricci, though, she slayed in this, and I wanted to see her more in this. Basically, most of the film, she seems to just be this, like, the stay-at-home mom and stuff. And then at the end, it's, like, revealed that she's also, like, this, like, not spy, but, like, hitman thing, too. And she has this experience, and she can, like, kill someone, which I found really interesting. But I wanted to see more of that, and that wasn't the case until the very end. Again, just like fine story, it just fell a little bit flat. The execution just wasn't great. And yeah, like I need Christina Ricci to do more roles like that. I think she needs to do more action-packed things. But yeah, overall it was fine. I would never recommend it. I would never like rewatch it either. It was just like, you know, a fine one-time watch. Next up, I have Playdate, which was directed by Luke Greenfield. When out-of-work accountant Brian joins stay-at-home dad Jeff for a playdate with their sons, he expects a laid-back afternoon. Instead, they're chased by mercenaries, and Brian, totally unprepared, must survive one absurd obstacle after another. Also has Kevin James and has Alan Richardson. Again, another thing, same thing with Kevin James. He's fine, and there's just something about him don't particularly like. And this was also a 2-star film. Yeah, this one was like a cute little fun thing of like the whole like dad and son playdate thing. I liked that. Again, it was just kind of like, it just like wasn't great storytelling, or not storytelling, but it just didn't have a great like story to tell, you know? And like, I love like a good family action comedy film. It just was like a little bit, I don't know, I think my main problem with this and the last one was Kevin James. And there's like really nothing wrong with him. It's just, I don't know, not my vibe. This film got me laughing a little bit. It had me giggling. Isla Fisher was in it, and she was like this like coked out mom. Slay. It's nothing crazy. I also did find the jokes to be quite repetitive to the point where they weren't funny anymore. And when that happens, it just, again, it's like, to me, just bad writing and just not that great. Moving on. We have Borderline, which was directed by Jimmy Warden. After escaping from a mental hospital, a violent sociopath named Paul begins a dangerous rampage targeting Sophia, a world-famous pop star. Obsessed with her, he takes Sophia hostage in her own home, acting under the delusional belief that they are getting married. Paul is desperate to prove his devotion, leading to a tense and unpredictable situation. This film stars Samara Weaving, and that was literally the only reason I watched it. The only reason, and again, I think I watched this in the beginning of the year. Yeah, I watched it in March. Oh my god, I actually wrote like a whole review. Hold on, I'll read it. This wasn't great, but it also wasn't terrible. I don't know, I think it took a while for me to grab any sort of interest, and when I did, there wasn't much. It felt like there was no real depth to the film. There are definitely some good highlights to mention, like Samara Weaving is just always fantastic no matter what she does. Wayne Nicholson is scary similar to his father, and Albert Batista playing a crazy cutie. Also Eric Dane for Invincible. Yeah, it was a fine film. It wasn't great, it wasn't terrible, it was just kind of like very mediocre. Next up, we have Black Bag, which was directed by Steven Soderbergh. When intelligence agent Catherine Woodhouse is suspected of betraying the nation, her husband, also a legendary agent, faces the ultimate test of whether to be loyal to his marriage or his country. This, to me, I rated it 2.5 stars, and I don't know what was about this film, but again, it just didn't grab my attention. I felt very lost and confused. I was just kind of like, what's going on? I'm a little bit bored. Just felt like I found myself like wanting to like pick up my phone and like scroll. Like, it wasn't grabbing my attention, especially when you have like Cate Blanchett, Michael Fassbender. I just was like, okay, like I wasn't getting so into it, and maybe it's just like not my vibe, which is strange because I do love like a thriller spy thing, but just overall I just didn't like it. And the whole like back and forth of like the wife and the husband, like you kind of like, well, who's the bad guy? I don't know, I just felt very confused and conflicted most of the time. Yeah, it just wasn't overly my vibe. I rated it 2.5 stars. Like Cate Blanchett, she's amazing. The other actors, like they did a great job, and I found their performance to be very fine. But I like don't remember it. I don't remember much about it. It didn't leave a big like effect on me. Next up, we have Havoc, which was directed by Gareth Evans. When a drug heist swerves lethally out of control, a jaded cop fights his way through a corrupt city's criminal underworld to save a politician's son. This I rated 2.5 stars. It stars Tom Hardy. This 2.5 star, I purely was because of film that it is, and it's like an action thing and I love an action film. It was very up my alley when I read about it and seen the trailer. Again, it was one of those things where overall I was just kind of like, ugh, like there wasn't much to it. It was very forgettable. The acting of the kid, like the politician's son, was just like really annoying. He was like with his friends in the film, just pissed me off. Like they were just annoying people, annoying characters. And I did find the action scenes to be quite interesting. I think it was just very much a Netflix action film where it doesn't really give you much. It's very mediocre again. It just didn't have a lot of like depth to anything. And like, yeah, overall, like it was fine. Like 2-star to 2.5-star films, I constantly have like the same sort of finished feeling about it. It's like it was just kind of boring. I didn't really gravitate to it, didn't really grab my attention. It's kind of unforgettable, well, forgettable, sorry. And I just, yeah, it just felt like boring and it wasn't really anything too interesting. Next up, I watched a very Jonas Christmas movie directed by Jessica Yu. Kevin, Nick, and Joe Jonas face a series of escalating obstacles as they struggle to make it from London to New York in time to spend Christmas with their families. I rated this 2.5 stars. This was very like Disney Channel original movie. Like it was cute, it was fine. Again, it wasn't anything special. It wasn't anything like super, I don't know, interesting. I also didn't even really understand why the Jonas Brothers were doing like a Christmas movie like this, but each their own. What I did like though was that it was like an hour and 10 minutes. I was like, thank God. Even that was too long. However, it is what it is. And like the music was like fine. The characters were fine. Like they have Chloe Bennett, which I just love. She's stunning. Billy Lord, Andrew Barth Feldman, Laverne Cox, Randall Park, Jesse Tyler Ferguson. Him as Santa was crazy. KJ Apa, crazy when he came on the screen. I was like, ugh. Yeah, very just like fine film. Nothing crazy, nothing bad about it. Really, just, it was fine. There were, I think there's like 2 or 3 songs that I liked from it. Yeah, I really liked the duet though that Chloe and Joe Jonas did. That was fun. Next up was The Strangers Chapter 2, which was directed by Rennie Harlan. When the strangers learn that one of their victims, Maya, is still alive, they return to finish what they started. This, I really enjoyed the first one, and I watched the one with Bailey Madison. I forgot what that one was called. I haven't actually watched the original one, which is crazy. But anyway, I really only watched this for Madeline Petch. This one I found to be less interesting than the first one. This poor woman, Jesus. When she got like dragged by the pig, that was crazy. There were like moments in this one where I was like laughing and I was just like, what is happening? Like it just felt like, who wrote this? These films when someone's like after someone and they don't act like rational and accordingly just annoys me sometimes. Like when, you know, they're like, someone's chasing them and then they like, the person knocks them down and they're like, okay, great, I can run away now. Why they run away but they don't finish them off and then the bitch comes up and then they come after you again? Like, can we use our brain? Like, that sort of stuff I know is part of the film and part of the writing, but fuck, it sometimes, not even sometimes, all the time annoys me. But yeah, and I can't believe they're doing a third one. Like, what do you mean? How is there a third one? This is when it kind of gets to the point of like, when is it time to hit the stop button? When is it time to end? And yeah, overall, like, it just, that poor girl, like, just trauma after trauma, really. Yeah, again, it wasn't anything crazy, it wasn't anything too special. The first one was much better in my opinion. And yeah, just like, give the girl a break. The next film that I watched was The Woman in Cabin 10, directed by Simon Stone. On a lavish yacht for an assignment, a journalist sees a passenger go overboard, but when no one believes her, she risks her life to uncover the truth. This I purely went into watching because it was Keira Knightley. Yeah, this was 2.5 stars, the whole thing. It just felt flat and the execution again wasn't done how I personally would have liked it to be done. There's a trope in films and TV shows that I never liked. And it's the thing where someone is like, this has happened and no one believes them. That trope and that plot just pisses me off, which is why I think this wasn't a strong film for me, just because of that alone, where this whole thing happened and no one believed her. There was like a bunch of other people on this yacht and like I think 2 or 3 of them were like under the whole plan of like throwing the person overboard or whatever, but the rest of the people that were on this boat like just didn't believe her. Personally, me, if someone's coming to me and telling me something like, you know, really crazy, I'm believing you 100%. I would much rather look like the fool who believed like a prank than be the asshole that didn't believe you when you were telling the truth. So that sort of whole trope just pisses me off. The plot twist of like, not twin, but like the look-alike, I seen that coming. That felt really predictable to me, especially in that the scene when Keira Knightley's character was meant to like meet her again in the study, and she was like, what? And like had no memory of it. That was like kind of clear to me that I was like, that feels weird. Yeah, again, nothing crazy about it, just kind of meh. And that whole plot of this is happening and no one's believing me annoys me. Next up, we have Play Dirty, which was directed by Shane Black. Expert thief Parker gets a shot at a major heist, but to pull it off, he and his team must outsmart a South American dictator, the New York mob, and the world's richest man. This I rated 2.5 stars. It has Mark Wahlberg again, Lakeith Stanfield, Rosa Salazar, Keegan-Michael Key, Nat Wolff, like the list goes on. Mark Wahlberg, I do not like him as a person, but fuck, his films that he are in, most of the time I somehow enjoy it a little bit, and it annoys me because you're a bad person. Although this is a 2.5 star film, I did like some things about it. Again, I love like a heist, crime, drama, thriller film. So I really did enjoy that part of it. I don't actually remember why I rated it this low, to be honest. There was obviously a reason. I think this was a 2-hour movie. So I'd probably say maybe that was part of it. It felt really long and probably didn't need to be, in my opinion. The girl, Rosa Salazar, she plays a character called Zen, and she like basically double crosses Mark Wahlberg's character, Parker, in the beginning. They do like a job together. She turns on everyone, kills them all except him. And then he gets this like, you know, heist thing come up and he's like, oh, I can do that. And then she's like the bad guy. And then they end up working together on this heist. And then at the very end, he kills her. And I was like, was that necessary? Was that necessary? I just kind of felt really bad for her, to be honest. Especially because everything that she was doing was to save like her people and her country and from the dictator. So the fact that she just died was really annoying. I loved Lakeith Stanfield though. His character, Cornfield, was so funny. Loved it. And the other characters, they were fine. They were just very like fillers. It was fine. It was also was this on Netflix? I don't remember. No, this was a Prime movie. It felt very Prime Video. But yeah, overall it was fine. I don't really have much memory of it. The next one I watched was Until Dawn. This was directed by David F. Sandberg. 1 year after her sister Melanie mysteriously disappeared, Clover and her friends head into the remote valley where she vanished in search of answers. Exploring an abandoned visitor center, they find themselves stalked by a masked killer and horrifically murdered one by one, only to wake up and find themselves back at the beginning of the same evening. This I rated 2.5 stars. I really like the idea of like the whole like coming back after dying each time. I love that. It's very much like Happy Death Day, and that sort of plot I just love. I love them like trying to figure out how to get out of this like time loop and how to like get out of it and like go back to the normal life. I love that. I loved the idea and the plot and everything. What I didn't particularly like though was the fact that this was called Until Dawn and had some relation to the game. I've never played the game, but I've watched people online play the game. So I do have some sort of knowledge of the game, and what I didn't like of Until Dawn was this would have been a much better film if it was titled something differently and didn't have the similarities or some relations like the Doctor. Why was the Doctor in this? That was unnecessary. And like turning the people into monsters, like that can just be its own thing. That doesn't need to be part of the you get what I mean? It just didn't need to be called Until Dawn. It just didn't need to have the same like the Doctor. It didn't need to have the whole like explosion in the minds, that sort of thing. There was just no need for that, especially as well when you had like in this one the differences of, you know, the way that they were dying and the supernatural aspect of it, because the only really supernatural aspect of Until Dawn was them being turned into monsters, and that was it. And like obviously that happened in this film, but again, my point still stands is it didn't need to be called Until Dawn. And like I really liked the idea of it, of like them coming back and everything like that, but it was just done poorly. It was just executed very badly. I did like the like actors and stuff, like Odessa Zion and like Ella Rubin, Maya Mitchell, like Michael Camino. I don't know how his last name is pronounced. Like I found their like acting to be like very fine. It wasn't, you know, Oscar worthy or anything, but they were fun to watch. Like, there was like nothing terrible about it. I just felt that them calling Until Dawn and that whole thing was just not necessary. Next up I have Jingle Bell Heist, which was directed by Michael Filmonari. Two down on their luck hourly workers team up to rob a posh London department store on Christmas Eve. Will they steal each other's hearts along the way? This was like cute, it was fine. It has Olivia Holt and Connor Swindells. I love Olivia Holt. Love her down. Yeah, this was like fine. It was very like Netflix. It was a Netflix film and it was very evident of that. They just didn't seem to have any chemistry, to be honest. It was like a cute, fun watch. It was a Christmas movie. It was a heist. As I just said, I love a heist film. There's a lot missing to it. I did like the plot twist in the end of like how her dad was the guy that they were robbing. That I found interesting, but again, it was just like a fine, cute, fun thing. It wasn't anything crazy, it wasn't anything special, and just they didn't have any chemistry, to be honest. And even in watching, like, I've seen an interview clip of them, there was just like nothing there. Like, that's fine, whatever. Moving on. I have Materialists, which was directed by Celine Song. A young, ambitious New York matchmaker finds herself torn between the perfect match and her imperfect ex. I rated this 2.5 stars. I loved this film visually. There's a certain shot where she is sitting down in Pedro Pascal's apartment and the whole wall is just books. It's like this giant bookshelf. That scene alone, I was like, oh my god, I love that. But just like overall, I don't know, there was things missing about it. It just felt like it was unfinished in a way. And I don't know if that was in the writing or the directing or anything like that, because like I said, some scenes were like written and shot like really well and really beautifully. I just think like overall there was something missing. I don't really know how to explain that, but I hope you know what I mean. Being torn between a billionaire and her like broke ex is crazy to me, because I understand love is love and you can't help who you love. But personally, I would have took the billionaire. I would have took him. I enjoyed their moments together of, I forgot his name, but Pedro's character. I enjoyed their moments together because it was seamless in a way where there wasn't any big problems, where when she was with or talking to her ex who was broke and like didn't have like a really high paying job or anything, there was just always an argument, or there was a fight, or there was a problem, or there was something wrong between the two of them. So when I was watching it, I was like, why would you go with him? I get it's Chris Evans, but like, okay, like I didn't leave the film being like, that was amazing, that was so good. You know, it didn't really leave much with me. The way that it was also played out with her client being like assaulted and stuff, I understand that that's like a real possibility, like not even a real possibility, as it happens. It just, most of the film felt very easygoing and like, you know, just like romance based and being like love. And then when that came into it, it was like this kind of like shock factor of like, whoa, that we got really serious all of a sudden. And then it was kind of like never spoken about again. That I found a little bit strange, because if you're going to bring that into it, I think you need to elaborate more into it and have that be a prominent like speaking point. But anyway, next up I have Eenie, Meanie, which was directed by Sean Simmons. A former teenage getaway driver gets dragged back into her unsavory past when a former employee offers her a chance to save the life of her chronically unreliable ex-boyfriend. I rated this 2.5 stars purely because of Samara Weaving. She's fantastic. I love her in anything she does. What I did not like about this film was her fucking boyfriend. Her boyfriend was so annoying, and like the fact that he just like, any moment where she was getting out of something and she was like, okay, finally we got the money, or we got away from what they were robbing. I think they were robbing like a casino or something. I don't remember. But like any moment where it was like, okay, finally I can breathe, we're about to like move on and live our life and whatever, then her boyfriend comes along and fucks it up multiple times. That pissed me off. And then in the end she shoots him, she kills him. Like, period, as you should. But like, it was just like annoying characters and annoying things like that just bring down my movie rating so much, and to the point where I'm like, I just don't like it anymore. Again, I liked her character and I liked the action part of it, of her being this getaway driver and all that sort of thing. I really liked that, but her boyfriend was just crazy. So in the end, she gets the money, I believe, and she gives it to her like old boss who like recruited her again for this thing. And Oh yes, I'm getting it in my head now. And he offers her 20%. 20%? After everything that she went through, bitch, I'm taking all of it. Next up, we have G20, which was directed by Patricia Riggin. After the G20 summit is overtaken by terrorists, President Danielle Sutton must bring all her statecraft and military experience to defend her family and her fellow leaders. This one I rated 3 stars. I really enjoyed this. It's got Viola Davis, and I think anything that she's in is just amazing. She, with a terrible, terrible script, she can change that. She was great. I think I really love watching a female president, and a badass one at that. What I did not like though was the terrorist like revenge. It was like Bitcoin and fucking AI. Why? Like, that just annoyed me. I don't like AI being in anything. I understand that this wasn't AI made. The characters were using AI to make the world leaders of like whatever country like say that they don't think that they should go with the G20 summit, because the whole point of these like world leaders getting together for this G20 summit was to like basically bring like world peace and world order and like really save the planet. I think I watched this early on. Yeah, April 13th, and so I'm like, I don't really remember much of it. But yeah, overall it was fine. It was like a good film, solid film. I just think we need a female president in the world. I mean, we have them, but the US needs a female president. Next up, I have A Working Man. This was directed by David Ayer. Levin Cade left behind a decorated military career in the Black Ops to live a simple life working construction. But when his boss's daughter, who is like family to him, is taken by human traffickers, his search to bring her home uncovers a world of corruption far greater than he ever could imagine. This has Jason Statham, and this was a very Jason Statham film. I noticed that any film that he does is very similar, very much the same thing. And look, I'm an easy man. I liked it. Again, like I said before, I do like these like action thriller films. So especially when Jason Statham's in it, I tend to really enjoy those films just because they're easy to watch, they're fun, they're like most of the time gravitating, and you're like, oh, like very engrossed in it. And I just love that he plays the same character a million times. Like, that's just all he really is doing. Again, this was I think an early on watch. May, yeah, I don't really remember too much about it. I just remember it being like a somewhat enjoyable film to, again, it's an action thriller, I love them, so you know, it was fine. Next up, I have, this is a controversial take, I have Sinners. I rated Sinners 3 stars, and I know that Sinners was a really big film this year, directed by Ryan Coogler. Trying to leave their troubled lives behind, twin brothers return to their hometown to start again, only to discover that an even greater evil is waiting to welcome them back. A lot of people on my letterbox rated it like 4 or 5, like really high ratings. Mine was 3. Like, my thing with this film, I haven't rewatched it. I've only watched it once. I think maybe on a second rewatch it might be better. However, I don't have the interest in rewatching it. I don't particularly want to rewatch it. To me, I just don't really see the appeal. I think it was a fine story. I think the script and the directing was great. I mean, like, the visual aspect of the film was great. I found it to be very visually pleasing, and the outfits and everything like that was really good. I also did really like the music. There was just something that wasn't, I think, grabbing my attention and getting my full tunnel vision on it. I don't know what there was nothing really like terrible about it. There wasn't anything where I'm like, ew, this is horrible, I don't like this is a bad movie. I just think like it wasn't necessarily my thing, which is crazy because I love like a vampire thing. And yeah, I don't know, I don't really know what to say about it. Like, it was fine. There was just something that I didn't really like about it. I didn't really understand the hype, and I think that might have been the issue. I think the fact that it was such a big film and everyone talking about it was like, this is amazing, this is so good, 5 stars. I think when you have a film that is that spoken about, or that highly spoken about, going into it you kind of expect it to be good, and then you have this expectation that doesn't end up leading to that expectation, you know? So I think maybe that's where it went wrong for me. Again, I did like the acting, I liked the music, I liked most of the thing. There was just a lot of it that just didn't feel interesting to me. I don't know. Next up, we have Heads of State, which was directed by Ilya Naishula. The UK Prime Minister and the US President have a public rivalry that risks their country's alliance, but when they become targets of a powerful enemy, they're forced to rely on each other as they go on a wild multinational run. Allied with Noel, a brilliant MI6 agent, they must find a way to thwart a conspiracy that threatens the free world. I rated 3 stars. It has John Cena, Idris Elba, and Priyanka. I liked it. I loved the whole like banter between the two main guys. I just again, it was one of those action thriller comedies, buddy type thing, which I really enjoy. Those and slasher films, I think I just tend to enjoy really easily. But I did enjoy it. The plot twist of who on which side, because there was someone trying to bring it all down, this whole world peace order thing, and it was well, there's an inside man, who is it? And it was all leading to the UK Prime Minister team, which it really did seem like that. And then it was plot twist, it was actually the American, which I felt was kind of obvious, but whatever. But yeah, that was another film where overall it was just a fine thing. It wasn't anything too crazy cinematic. It was a fun, made me giggle, made me laugh. I sat there, enjoyed it. That was it. Next up, we have Clowned in a Cornfield. Gwyn and her father have just moved to the quiet town of Kettle Springs. Hoping for a fresh start instead, she discovers a fractured community that has fallen on hard times after the treasured Baypen corn syrup factory burned down. As the locals bicker amongst themselves and tensions boil over, a sinister, grinning figure emerges from the cornfields to cleanse the town of its burdens, one bloody victim at a time. I rated this 3 stars, and I don't actually remember why. I'm low-key looking at this now and thinking, this is too high of a rating. But for the sake of the video, it's just gonna stay here because I can't be bothered trying to find a place for it. Katie Douglas is in this, and I like her. I think she's, fine actress. There's just something, very charismatic about her. I don't know, I wanted to watch this for her. I also seen an edit of, there was a gay couple in this, and I was sold, add to watch list. Yeah, I don't really remember much about it. Horror, mystery, thriller was the genres. I think maybe that's what I liked about it, was just the horror thriller aspect of it, and then the gay ones, they lived on. Again, I don't really have much memory or recollection of it, so I can't say too much. I mean, I rated it 3 stars at the time. Obviously enjoyed it when I first watched it. Now I think my rating would probably be much lower, but again, like I said, for the sake of the video, it's just gonna stay there. Next up, we have F, Marry, Kill, which was directed by Laura Murphy. When true crime junkie Eva Vore is shoved into the dating app world by her besties on her 30th birthday, she suddenly finds herself at the center of a real-life murder case. As new details about the murder are revealed on her favorite podcast, she realizes that one of the 3 men she's dating could be the infamous swipe right killer terrorizing the city. I rated this one 3 stars. It has Lucy Hale in it. Pretty much the only reason I watched it. And I did enjoy this. I felt that her character was very fucking delusional at some point and very crazy. Just the constant oh my god, it's him, and freaking out. The plot twist being her best friend, I knew that pretty much from the very beginning of the way that her friend was acting. When it came to men and her boyfriend and her partner and everything like that, that just kind of felt really obvious to me. I did enjoy it. I liked the whole sleuthing part of it and being oh my god, is it him or is it this guy or is it this guy? I also found it quite crazy that she was dating 3 men at the same time, or seeing them. Yeah, again, I don't have much memory of it. I just remember somewhat enjoying it and having, a couple laughs. It was most of the time enjoyable. The plot twist was predictable in my opinion. I think I've watched too many films to where I can just see the plot twist coming at any given point, but overall it was fine. Next up, I have Straw, directed by Tyler Perry. What will be her last straw? A devastatingly bad day pushes a hard-working single mother to the breaking point and into a shocking act of desperation. This I rated 3.5 stars, and this one I enjoyed Taraji P. Henson's performance so much. I found that her acting was really well done in this, and the plot twist of her daughter not being there, again, I also kind of seen it coming, but it was very hard to watch. It felt so real, her acting, and the moment she realizes her daughter's not there anymore, her daughter died, and it was just a very sad, heartbreaking film. This had that plot trope thing that I don't like, where she spoke about this police officer that fucked her car up, and she went to the police about it, and no one was believing her, and I as I just said before, I don't like that trope and that plot. However, I did really enjoy Tiana Taylor as well as a detective. That was really interesting. I liked that she was all for this woman, and she was like, I'm going to be with you for this till the end. It's like in a bank and she needs money to save her daughter. Obviously little do they know she's dead. Or little does she know she's dead. Everyone that's in the bank knew. Everyone knew in the bank. Everyone that was in the bank hostage situation, they knew about it. I really liked that they didn't do anything like break the news to her like that, and they were like, we're here and we're gonna be here for you and with you in this moment. Nicole, played by Sherry Shepherd, her character was so sweet. I really enjoyed the fact that she was like, I'm gonna be with you, I'm gonna walk you out in this, I'm gonna be with you the whole time. That I found really nice. But yeah, I really enjoyed her acting. Next up I have The Gorge, which was directed by Scott Derrickson. Two highly trained operatives grow close from a distance after being sent to guard opposite sides of a mysterious gorge. When an evil below emerges, they must work together to survive what lies within. I rated this 3.5 stars and I really enjoyed this. It has Miles Teller and Anya Taylor-Joy, and their chemistry that they had, I really enjoyed this film. I haven't rewatched it. I don't know if I ever will, but again, it was an action thing and I really liked it. There's like nothing more like to me that I can say. I'm not a cinephile, I'm not a film nerd. I like a film or I don't. I did like the romance part of it, and I thought Anya Taylor-Joy was just amazing. I loved the action part of it. I loved the secret discovery of like the government doing this whole thing in the gorge and the basically whole other world that was down there. I like that they connected so quickly, especially when they're like in such similar situations of like he has like no real purpose in his life, so that's why he signed up to it, and her dad passed away, so she was like, I've got nothing left. So I found that their romance was to be like quite cute and connecting, and just like they were just amazing. I love them and they're both so beautiful to look at. And yeah, I liked it. I liked the story, I liked the idea of it. Next up I have Mickey 17. Unlikely hero Mickey Barnes finds himself in the extraordinary circumstance of working for an employer who demands the ultimate commitment to the job, to die for a living. I seen the trailer for this and I was like, God, I'm so excited for this. However, when it came to watching it, I was like, this is not the gag that I thought it was. I really love Robert Pattinson in basically anything he does. And that was really the 3.5 star rating. I liked the world and the story and the plot. My real issue with it was that it was so fucking long. It was an hour, 137 minutes. I don't know what that's like, over 2 hours. That was just like a bit much. I was like, okay, we're getting to a point of like a lot of moments throughout it. I was like, ugh, okay, I'm getting a little bit bored. And then like it would pick up and I was like, oh, okay, I'm back. And then I would be like, oh, I'm a bit bored again. Oh, okay, I'm back. And just overall, like, it was a good film. I liked the writing and the script. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah, I liked all the actors. I think it was a star-studded cast. The actors did, you know, a really good job. And Robert Pattinson, fantastic. The way that he just merges into whatever character he plays is just amazing. Like, even the voice that he was doing was crazy and just, oh my god, just amazing. He really, like, he did his big one with that film and the acting of that. The, like, alien monster thing, that was such an interesting, like, story. Yeah, just overall, like, it was fine. It was a good film. The acting was great. Story was great. 3.5 stars, again, like I said. I don't think it's something that I'd ever rewatch, but my only real issue with it was that it just felt really long. My attention span wasn't just like a smooth thing or just like going straight up. It was very up and down. Next up we have The Parenting. This is directed by Craig Johnson. Boyfriends Josh and Rohan plan a weekend getaway to introduce their parents, only to discover that their rental home is a 400-year-old poltergeist. This was a funny film to watch. It has Brandon Flynn, basically the only real reason I watched it. Yeah, I don't think this is where it would sit right now. I think I rated this very nicely, very generously. I don't think it's a 3.5 star film, but again, for the sake of the video, it's gonna stay here. But I did enjoy it. I did like it. I did find it quite funny in some moments. Yeah, it was just like a fun, easy watch. It wasn't anything where you had to really sit there and go, oh, I need to like pay attention to the story and to really, I find that some films that like that can be quite draining and lose the fun of it because you have to sit there and like really analyze it in some cases that is a fun thing to do, but I also think it can be quite draining and like lose the fun part of watching a film. It was an easy watch. It was easy, it was funny, and it was two gay guys. Slay. Next up I have Drop, which was directed by Christopher Landon. Violet, a widowed mother on her first date in years, arrives at an upscale restaurant where she is relieved that her date Henry is more charming and handsome than she expected. But their chemistry begins to curdle as Violet begins being irritated and then terrorized by a series of anonymous drops to her phone. I rated it 3.5 stars. Again, I think this was a bit too generous. But in the moment of watching it and finishing it, I enjoyed what it was. And oh my god, I originally rated it 4 stars. That's crazy. I liked the thriller part of it, of her getting these airdrops and shit like that. What I didn't like though was the fact that they were like memes. Why were we doing that? Like, that just felt childish when in reality it was this fucking 70-year-old man doing it all. It was just really interesting to see when those sort of moments, if someone's doing that, it's interesting to see how a person acts and how they try and get away with it. And she, like, honestly, if I was her, I would have done everything the guy was telling me, because I remember there was a scene where she was meant to poison her date and kill him. Honestly, look, if I had to do that to save my son, I would. But I liked that it was like all tied in, that her date that she was seeing, it wasn't like she was targeted because of her or anything. She was targeted because of the guy that she was going on a date with, because he took photos that were like not meant to be taken photos of. And that's the whole point, was, you know, they needed to kill him, but they couldn't, so she was forced to do it, which she didn't end up doing. And they ended up living happily ever after. It was cute. But that poor child, she has a child, and the father of the child was like a really abusive guy. And then this child gets attacked because the bad guy sent another bad guy to the house to attack her son and the babysitter, who I think was her sister. And that child's gonna have a crazy trauma response in life. But overall, it was an interesting film. It was an interesting watch. I liked the idea of like technology and using that to be like scary with the airdrops and everything. Next up we have Companion, which was directed by Drew Hancock. During a weekend getaway at a scheduled lakeside estate, a group of friends find themselves entangled in a web of secrets, deception, and advanced technology. As tensions rise and loyalties are tested, they uncover unsettling truths about themselves and the world around them. I rated this 3.5 stars, and I really enjoyed what the film was. I enjoyed the acting. I thought Sophie Thatcher was amazing. To play a robot who has some sense of humanness, crazy. What I didn't like about this film was the non-robots. The fact that you are and I know that this was part of the plot, but it's crazy to me that they created these companions purely because they were fucking incels. Like, they were weird people and had no social anything, to where they at a point created a robot to be their literal like sex doll and personal chef, and like that was crazy. I understand that that's the point, but oh my god. Jack Quaid, is that how it's pronounced? Not the actor, the character. What a shallow of a man. And it was crazy. The plot twist, I don't know if it was shown really in the trailer, because I think I watched the trailer, but when I watched the film and then it was revealed that they were robots and it was like, go to sleep, I was like, huh? Wasn't expecting that. It was a fun watch though. It was really interesting. I enjoyed the acting. I also really enjoyed the style of her character and everything about it. I loved that just at the end of it, she killed them. I'm like, as you should, queen. It does freak me out though, the whole like robots getting consciousness, and that freaks me out. We as a society and as a world need to stop with the AI and stop with the robots and everything like that, because it's too damn much. Moving on. Next up, also starring Jack Quaid, was Novocaine, directed by Dan Burke and Robert Olson. When the girl of his dreams is kidnapped, everyman Nate turns his inability to feel pain into an unexpected strength in his fight to get her back. This, I rated 3.5 stars as well. I did enjoy this film. I thought it was really interesting, really funny, and I liked the fact that he couldn't feel pain. This also has Ray Nicholson. A lot of same actors in these films. The girl of his dreams was part of the whole plan, which I found to be quite crazy, just because, like, girl, you couldn't have like given him the heads up. Like, you were flirting with him, like you were on dates, like he was down for you from the get-go. Like, you could have been like, look, like, I'm gonna tell you something and you need to just shut your mouth. And it was just, yeah, I mean, I don't really remember too much about it, but I just remember being like, this is funny, this was an enjoyable film. It was easy to watch and just like, you know, action packed and comedy packed. Like, it was fun, it was easy, and it was funny to watch. Yeah, again, I don't like a lot of the films that I watched in like the first half of the year. I don't really remember too much about them. Next up, I have Death of a Unicorn, directed by Alex Scarfman. A father and daughter accidentally hit and kill a unicorn while en route to a weekend retreat where his billionaire boss seeks to exploit the creature's miraculous curative properties. I think when I first watched this, I rated it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it, and I mean, I still do. I haven't rewatched it, so it's not something that I think I would ever rewatch. I thought it was really interesting, the story and the idea of it, and the connection that Jenna Ortega's character had with the unicorn and that whole thing. I really enjoyed this from a storytelling perspective and from the script. The characters were just like, you know, obviously they were billionaires, so they're quite annoying. Her dad in the film, played by Paul Rudd, he was fine. He just would start to annoy me a little bit because he was so focused on getting this deal signed and this, like, you know, getting all this money and stuff, which I understand he was doing that to better his daughter and give her the life that she wants and everything. But when your daughter's coming to you telling you, like, we need to go, like, this is not right, like, you need to listen. Again, goes back to my thing of that plot and that thing of someone saying something and them not believing it. I don't like to watch it. But overall, I did enjoy it, and I think like the cast was really interesting. Like Will Poulter, we have Tia Leone. They were all just really interesting characters as well. Richard Grant played Odell. He was like the billionaire boss, and he had cancer and everything, and they were using the unicorn's magical properties to basically like cure him, which they did. Like, just billionaires and their greed. What I did really like though was the fact that the unicorn wasn't exactly what you imagine a unicorn to be, and it was more on the scarier side. I liked that part of it. I liked that sort of like that change in that creature. You often think it's this white magical creature of like light and purity, and yes, that's what it was in a sense of like the magical part of it, but I liked that they were more vicious. I liked that it was more horror and darker turn than the original unicorn that you would think of. Next up, we have The Pickup, which was directed by Tim Story. It is a routine cash pickup, takes a wild turn when mismatched armored truck drivers Russell and Travis are ambushed by ruthless criminals led by savvy mastermind Zoe. This I loved. I loved this. I rated it 3.5 stars. I remember, look, it's not gonna be a 5-star like film of like the acting was amazing, this, that, and the third. I just really liked this because it was funny and I enjoyed it so much. I really enjoyed Keke Palmer and Pete Davidson and Eddie Murphy. I just found that their whole like trio connection was just like really funny, and I just had a blast watching it. I just remember being like, this is great, this is really funny, I'm enjoying it. And that was just basically my whole thing with it, was I just had fun. And there wasn't anything where I'm like, this is really boring or this is really bad or anything like that. I had fun. Really the only reason that it's 3.5 stars and pretty high on the ranking, because it was just a fun film. Next up, I have Thunderbolts, which I rated 3.5 stars, directed by Jake Schreier. After finding themselves ensnared in a death trap, 7 disillusioned cast-offs must embark on a dangerous mission that will force them to confront the darkest corners of their pasts. Was a really interesting Marvel film. I love Florence Pugh and her character Yelena. I just love that character so much. So this was like kind of the only really big reason that I watched it, just because I love her. And like, you know, I love Bucky Barnes as well. The other characters, like, they were kind of new to it, so I wasn't really going into that for them. Purely I went into it for Florence Pugh. But I did enjoy it. I did enjoy the story of it and the script. I liked the new characters. It's not giving like the same like Avengers feel. It is a bit different. But overall I did enjoy it. I liked that that they're all depressed. They all have like really deep-rooted issues. I also really liked Lewis Pullman's character. Bob, that was his name, and like him becoming Sentry and everything like that. That was really interesting. I found it really interesting of his powers and his abilities and him becoming like this void of like darkness and sorrow and despair. I find that to be really interesting as well. But yeah, overall I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the action. Again, it wasn't giving so like Marvel Avengers film, which was a little bit disappointing because I know that they are supposed to be like the new Avengers. So I'm hoping that what they do for the Thunderbolts next will be really good. Next up we have Back in Action, which was directed by Seth Gordon and it stars Jamie Foxx and Cameron Diaz. 15 years after vanishing from the CIA to start a family, elite spies Matt and Emily jump back into the world of espionage when their cover is blown. This 3.5 stars purely because of that. It is just something that's so up my alley, a spy film. I really do love like a spy espionage action comedy film. It's just something that's really up my alley and I really enjoyed it. I love Cameron Diaz and I love that this was like her like foot back into acting, because I know she had stopped acting for a while. Crazy that this was the thing that made her come back to it. However, I enjoyed it. I also enjoyed the twists and turns of like their boss being like the bad guy and then them also going and Glenn Close being her mother. Crazy. But yeah, overall I really enjoyed it. I think this came out in January. Or when did I watch it? Yeah, I watched it in January, so this was like one of the first watches of the year for me. I don't really remember too much about it, but again, I just remember it being really fun to watch. It was really funny. Again, it was just one of those things where it was a thing that was so up my alley that I just enjoyed it, and it ended up just being a high-ranking film. And I don't really have anything else really to say about it. But yeah, I also thought that the chemistry was fine. I think I did see a lot of the time that people were saying the chemistry wasn't that great. I liked it, it was fun. Next up we have The Running Man, which was directed by Edgar Wright, starring Glenn Powell. Desperate to save his sick daughter, working class Ben Richards is convinced by the Running Man's charming but ruthless producer to enter the deadly competition game as a last resort. But Ben's defiance, instincts, and grit turn him into an unexpected fan favorite and a threat to the entire system. As ratings skyrocket, so does the danger, and Ben must outwit not just the hunters, but a nation addicted to watching him fall. This I found really interesting. The whole story and everything like that. I don't know what it was, but watching it, the acting and the writing, like, I understand that it was set in a like futuristic like world, but overall it didn't feel like that. It didn't feel like that's what I was watching until like there was a moment of like, okay, here's a really futuristic car and like futuristic technology, but overall it just didn't feel like that. Basically he had to send in tapes daily. The producers and everything would like change it and make him say things that he didn't say, and then everyone that was watching this TV show would be like, oh my god, what the hell's wrong with him? Why did he say that? Another thing where I'm like, why are we making him say things that he didn't say? You're just like, that annoys me, that just a little bit. I liked that he took them down though in the end. That was really interesting. And I liked that everyone came together in the end of like the general public and realized that the whole show and the producers and the creator and everything were just corrupt billionaire shit people. I love bringing them down. Yeah, it was like a solid film. It was a bit on the longer side than I would have liked, but nonetheless I did enjoy it. It was action, comedy. It was, you know, a really fun film to watch. It didn't really require a lot of brain power to like dissect anything. Overall it was great, it was fun. Next up I have Wake Up Dead Man, which was the third installment to the Knives Out saga, directed by Ryan Johnson. When young priest Judd is sent to assist charismatic firebrand Monsignor Jefferson Wicks, it's clear that all is not well in the pews. After a sudden and seemingly impossible murder rocks the town, the lack of an obvious suspect prompts local police chief Geraldine Scott to join forces with renowned detective Benoit Blanc to unravel a mystery. I can't speak. That defies all logic. I rated this 3.5 stars. I did enjoy it. I do find the whole like priest Christianity thing not up my alley. I find that in any film, if that's mentioned, I'm just kind of like, snooze fest. But nonetheless, I did enjoy it. I did enjoy the story and the writing and the script. To me, the killer and everything was quite obvious. I kind of seen that coming. I did like how it all played out though and how it all panned out. My only really issue with these films of like the whodunits, which isn't even the issue, I love a whodunit film. Whodunits, slashes, and like action thriller comedy films, I just tend to be up my alley. Spies, that's what I meant to say. just very on my alley. But with these sort of films I wish that there was more sort of like investigating, because yeah, they investigate, but at the end it's just kind of like, I don't know, like we still need to find out this and we still need to find out that, and then at the end it's like, well, here it is, and it's just like all laid to you. I'm like, well, how did you even get to that conclusion? Like, there was often times where I find myself thinking like, where did you even come up with that? There was no sort of like even scene or anything remotely tying into what you just said that made me think of it. Because like, I think they spoke about the flask, because the Monsignor, whatever his name is, he was drinking from a flask and that was poisoned, and then the flask ended up behind the door, but you didn't even see that until they mentioned it. And he was like, well, the flask behind the door, what flask? That sort of writing kind of frustrates me, because it just kind of seems like they don't know how to wrap it all up or include it all in the right moment in time when it comes to the end, and they're just like, this is what happened and this is how it happened and this is the killer. How do we get here? How do we get to this point? But nonetheless, I did enjoy it. I think Josh O'Connor was great. I found him to be really interesting, with him like going back and forth from him being like a boxer and killing someone to then becoming a priest and that being his like new calling. That I found quite interesting, because it's a very sharp turn. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's not something that I'd ever rewatch, but nonetheless, I think everyone was, very interesting characters. The plot twist, again, I did find it quite predictable, but it was really interesting, the reasoning behind it and everything like that. And yeah, it was a star-studded cast too. Like Glenn Close, you had Daniel Craig, you had Josh O'Connor, Josh Brolin, Mila Kunis, Jeremy Renner, Kerry Washington, Andrew Scott, Kaylee Spaney. Like, I love having a star-studded cast, because it just makes it so interesting, so fun to watch. My only downside to that is like, you see them all the time though. You often want to see like a fresh new face. When you see these like really famous actors be in things, you kind of can understand and can see the performance already, because you know that they're a good actor and you can see that performance coming. But I did really enjoy the film, and I enjoyed Glenn Close being the mastermind behind it all. Next up, we have Jurassic World Rebirth, directed by Gareth Edwards. 5 years after the events of Jurassic World Dominion, covert operations expert Zora Bennett is contracted to lead a skilled team on a top secret mission to secure generic material from the world's 3 most massive dinosaurs. When Zora's operation intersects with a civilian family whose boating expedition was capsized, they all find themselves stranded on an island where they come face to face with a sinister, shocking discovery that's been hidden from the world for decades. I only recently watched the Jurassic World films, not the original ones, just like the new remakes with Chris Pratt. I rated this one 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. I loved Scarlett Johansson. I also love Jonathan Bailey. He is one of those new actors for me that I'm just like massively obsessed with. I haven't watched Bridgerton though, so that's kind of hypocritical of me to say, but purely being biased because of Wicked. But anyway, I did enjoy Jurassic World Rebirth. I found it to be a really interesting film, and just everything about it, their whole like expedition to the dinosaurs and all the characters. I also really like Luna Blaze, who was part of the civilian family boat that got capsized. That I found really interesting. Her boyfriend in it though was really fucking annoying. But yeah, again, this was like one of those films that were just like really easy for me to love and enjoy, just being like an action and an interesting thing. But those sort of films where it's like really action-packed, really interesting story and characters that are just like easy to watch and good actors, just tends to be a high rating film for me. Obviously I can acknowledge a story and its plot, even if it's not something that's for me. Like, for example, Sinners before, I respect the story and the idea and everything behind it. It just wasn't necessarily for me. So yeah, I loved it. I don't know. And I loved Scarlett Johansson. I loved Jonathan Bailey. And just like everything else was just like really, really interesting. And I also loved like the little girl and her thing with the baby dinosaur. That was really cute. It's really nice to have like in a film that can be really dark and have really crazy turn of events, have that like lighthearted, like, oh, cute. Next up, we are down to the top 10. The top 10, in 10th place, we have the Fantastic Four: First Steps. This was directed by Matt Shakman. Against the vibrant backdrop of 1960s-inspired retro-futuristic world, Marvel's first family is forced to balance their roles as heroes with their strength, of their family bond while defending Earth from a ravenous space god called Galactus and his enigmatic herald Silver Surfer. This I rated 4 stars. I really enjoyed it a lot more than I think most people did. I know a lot of people didn't enjoy this film as much as they wanted to. I enjoyed it. I loved the characters. I found Joseph Quinn to be really, really captivating as Johnny Storm. It was really interesting. Vanessa Kirby, she was great, like mother icon. I think her as an actress, she to me isn't amazing. She's fine. I think there just needs to be more of, I think I just need to see her in more things. But I really enjoyed this movie. Again, it's that thing of like, it's action, very easy up my alley. I've said that about so many of these already, and I'm sorry to start repeating myself. I've already been repeating myself. I loved as well the costumes and the setting of it and the 1960s inspired theme. I also found Julia Garner, I think, is that her name? Yeah, who played the Silver Surfer. I found her to be really interesting and her take on the Silver Surfer to be really, really well done. I'm excited to see where Marvel takes Fantastic Four. I also really enjoyed the original Fantastic Four with Chris Evans and Jessica Alba and all them. I really enjoyed that, and I think I've always loved that movie and that story, so going into Fantastic Four, I was like, I'm so ready, I'm so excited. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I don't really have anything else to say about it. Next up, we have Heart Eyes. It was directed by Josh Rubin. When the Heart Eyes killer strikes Seattle, a pair of co-workers pulling overtime on Valentine's Day are mistaken for a couple by the elusive couple-hunting killer. Now, they must spend the most romantic night of the year running for their lives. I rated this 4 stars. I just really, really enjoyed it. Again, like I said before, it's a slasher thing. I love a slasher. I love a whodunit sort of film. So this was just kind of like really, again, up my alley. The plot twists of who the killers were quite predictable. Kind of expected it. I also really loved Mason Gooding and Olivia Holt. I think they had really good chemistry, unlike the other Olivia Holt movie I mentioned before. I found it really interesting, and I love a slasher. A slasher is just like an automatic like 3-star or up film for me, and I love like the comedy banter that they had between them, because they didn't even really end up getting together because they weren't a couple until the very end. Yeah, it was just, it was a really interesting, fun watch. Sorry, I'm repeating myself. Next up, I have I Know What You Did Last Summer, which was the prequel? Is that what they're called? It's not a sequel, it's like in the same world, but directed by Jennifer Caton Robinson. When 5 friends inadvertently cause a deadly car accident, they cover up their involvement and make a pact to keep it a secret rather than face the consequences. A year later, their past comes back to haunt them, and they're forced to confront a horrifying truth. Someone knows what they did last summer and is hell-bent on revenge. I rated this 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. Again, it was a slasher film. It was something that was so up my alley and just really, really fun to watch. The plot twist, well, the first plot twist of who it was, I had seen come in from pretty much from the get-go. The second plot twist of Ray being the other killer and being a part of it, that did not expect. I did, however, enjoy that plot twist. However, I do find it to be quite out of character. When you watch the original I Know What You Did Last Summer films, Ray doing that just doesn't seem right. And that, I think, also brings down the rating a little bit. However, I did like the plot twist. I did enjoy it. And I love that Julie from the original was also in it. I love that they reprised their roles. I also did like the fresh faces. I love like Madeline Klein, Chase Sweet Wonders, Sarah Pigeon. I also love Gabrielle. I love her like 5 seconds in this film. Yeah, I really liked the cast of this. I love like the fresh faces and the fresh like story retelling of it. It was just really interesting. And the plot twist, just that Ray being one of them, just got me good. That was one thing I didn't expect. And it just, yeah, like I said, it just felt so out of character for him. And it was just like disappointing to watch and love the original one so much. It was just like, it was interesting, but like also somewhat disappointing. But yeah, overall, it was a slasher film and I loved it. Like, it was fun, it was easy to watch. Great. Next up, I have Frankenstein, which was directed by, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name because I always butcher it, but Dr. Victor Frankenstein, a brilliant but egotistical scientist, brings the creature to life in a monstrous experiment that ultimately leads to the undoing of both the creator and his tragic creation. This film was really, really well done. I found the directing to be amazing, the writing to be really well done, and the acting was just phenomenal. I mean, Jacob Elordi crazy. Like, look, I have to give them my 10s. I have to give him, I have to give Oscar Isaac, I have to give the director, like, you ate down. Just a really interesting film and a really good, like, telling of the story. I liked how it was, like, broken up. Like, you had, like, the prologue, like, the different tellings. Like, you had the Dr. Frankenstein, his telling and his side and his point of view, and then you had the creature's story. I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed the creature's telling of the story much more than I did the doctor, the scientist's telling. I enjoyed the second half of the film much more than I enjoyed the first half of the film, is what I'm trying to say. But nonetheless, I did enjoy it so much. Visually as well, just a really good film. And just like the acting was amazing. Like, I don't have anything really bad to say about it, other than the fact that it was a little bit long for me. I just felt like there was some moments where I was a little bit like okay, I'm a bit bored. And I just, like, other than that, like, there were only a few moments when I was like, I was a bit bored, and that was only really in the first half of the film, because it was the scientist telling wasn't my favorite. I much preferred the second half and the creature's telling of the story. And I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the acting. I really enjoyed the writing and the script, and just like overall, like, the directing of it all. I know that director, he is just like fantastic. I know a lot of people love him and his work. I love that he's anti-AI. Fuck AI, period. I really enjoyed this film. Next up, I have Elio. Elio, a space fanatic with an active imagination, finds himself on a cosmic misadventure where he must form new bonds with eccentric alien life forms, navigate a crisis of intergalactic proportions, and somehow discover who he is truly meant to be. I loved this film. I really did. I cried. I loved the idea of it and the story of it and the storytelling, and I thought the whole, I don't know what it is, metaphor, or not metaphor, but like the similarities of Elio and the alien kid that he meets was so adorable, and I loved their friendship, and I loved just like the whole story of it. I loved how it was animated and everything about it. It has that very stereotypical thing of like, I don't want to be what you want me to be, Dad. But it was just a really cute, really fun film to watch, and it was just really interesting. As someone who loves like space and just like that world of like space and galaxy and everything, it was really interesting to see the different creatures and different beings and the different worlds and everything that was up there, and the metaphor that Elio is a gay child. Like, he doesn't fit in anywhere. He wanted to escape to a world where people will accept him. I know what you are. But no, I really enjoyed this film, and I loved the characters. I loved everything about it. I just think it was such a cute, fun film. It is definitely something that I'd probably rewatch. I haven't rewatched it, but next up we have Controversial Take, Snow White with Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot. I'm not going to mention too much about this film because I have already done a video review on it, so you can go and watch it. I will link it below in the description. I basically just kind of said everything there, but I think this movie was way overhated and the hate was not necessary. The hate was necessary for Gal Gadot. Rachel Zegler, however, was not. Moving on. The Life List. This was directed by Adam Brooks, and this is when her mother sends her on a quest to complete a teenage bucket list. A young woman uncovers family secrets, finds romance, and rediscovers herself. This film wrecked me. I'm not gonna lie, I remember watching this and being like, oh my god, I cried, I was so emotional. I really enjoyed Sophia Carson. I know she gets a lot of hate for her acting and stuff, but I really enjoyed this film. Found it to be really emotional and really, you get to see her character be, grieving her mother and the loss of her mother. This like, how do I navigate my life without her? I also really enjoyed getting to see, she has siblings, and a lot of her life was with her mother, and they did work together and they were really close. And then you get to see a little brief POV from her siblings' point of view of like, you were so close with her and we never got to be so close with her that you did. I really enjoyed that. You often see that in any film of like parents and kids, if there's multiple kids, that one kid is closer to the parent and they're like, we're like inseparable and we're like the best of both worlds, and then the other siblings are just kind of like left for pickings, like there's like nothing really to them. So I really like that you were able to see that different point of view, but I really enjoyed it. I also enjoyed her love interest. I found that to be really cute, which was like the lawyer guy. That was amazing. I really enjoyed that film. I haven't rewatched it because I remember crying so hard that I was like, oh my god. Especially like me being so close with my mom, I was like, oh, like it was a tough watch, you know, especially when you can relate to a character and relate to a relationship that they have. It can be quite emotional to like watch. We're down to the top 3. Next up I have another simple favor, and this I just remember loving. I think purely because of Anna Kendrick. She is one of those actresses that I just absolutely adore, and just anything that she's in, I'm just like obsessed with it. I also really enjoyed the first film. It was crazy to me that they were making another one. I think this film got very overshadowed by the Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni whole thing, but I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the like twists and turns of it there being the triplet, which I kind of expected because it was mentioned in the first one that there were triplets, so there was kind of that like inkling in the back of my mind that this is where it would be going. It was really crazy though how the sister was acting very incestually and the aunt just being batshit crazy. I don't think it's a 5. I rated it 5 stars. I don't think it is a 5-star film. I think realistically it maybe is like 3.5. I think in the moment when I watched it, I was just like, I had so much fun. I loved every second of it. It was a blast. It was so much fun. I really enjoyed the acting and the like whole thing between Blake Lively and Anna Kendrick. I know a lot of people like they hate each other, but like I don't know, they did their thing with this one. Like they looked and had so much fun. I really enjoyed watching that. I have rewatched it. I've watched it I think 2 or 3 times. It's just one of those things where it's funny, it's easy to watch, it's interesting. Again, it's not a 5-star film, it's just where it is for the sake of the video. Next up we have in second place is One of Them Days, directed by Lawrence Lamont. This is best friends and roommates Drew and Alyssa are about to have one of them days. When they discover Alyssa's boyfriend has blown their rent money, the duo find themselves going to extremes in a comical race against the clock to avoid eviction and keep their friendship intact. This has Keke Palmer and SZA, and honestly this is the only reason it's got 5 stars. Again, this is something else that's not a 5-star film. I just watched it and I had fun. I had fun and I found them acting together to be so funny. Again, it was one of those films where it's a buddy comedy, like just really interesting to watch, and they just were so charismatic and I loved everything that they did. It was just really funny. Even like the scene when they go and try and get a loan or something, like credit score looked at, that scene made me giggle so hard. Yeah, it was just like really easy. It was really easy to watch. It was really fun, and I really want to see SZA act in more things. I know that this is a very easy introduction into the acting world because you can kind of just like act like yourself. You don't really have to act really like, you don't have to do a lot of hard acting, I mean. And I'm not discrediting them at all. I'm just saying like this is a really easy film to step into the acting world. So I'm excited to see where SZA goes if she continues acting and doing anything like that. Keke Palmer, she's just amazing. I love her. And yeah, it was just like, again, it was just a really funny film. Moving on to the final film of the year, my number 1 of 2025, and you've seen it coming. It is Wicked for Good. What can I say? What can I say? Wicked changed my life last year, and I knew going into Wicked for Good that I was more than likely going to like absolutely love it, every second of it, adore it. I am probably most likely 99.9% being biased, but I just loved both films so much. John M. Chu, I think him as a director, he is really interesting. In the first film, I loved it. Both films to me are 5 stars in hindsight. There are some directing choices that I personally don't agree with in both films. I think in the first film of Wicked, there were like the dancing through life scene. I think that was poorly lit. I don't think that the lighting was good in that scene particularly, but again, this isn't me saying anything terrible about the film, either film. They're both 5 stars in my eyes, but again, like I said, I do want to mention, like, yes, I'm probably being a little bit biased. However, there are some things in each film that I don't particularly agree with. Specifically, Wicked for Good, I was so in awe of the characters and their like come to terms of their own actions after the first film, their own consequences and the repercussions of their actions from the first one. I found it really interesting to see that for most of it, Glinda is very much just going along with Madame Marvel and the Wizard's plan because she thinks that's what's good. She thinks that's what's good, and she, you know, is wanting Elphaba to do what she thinks is good. And they're both in their own sort of journey to self-discovery and realizing where they are in this world and what they can do and the power that they hold and all of that. I really enjoy that story, and I really enjoy the way that these two actresses did it. I mean, Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo are just magnetic. They are phenomenal, and they, like, you know, these roles are like a lifetime dream of both of them. I also loved Ethan Slater and him as the Tin Man, and Jonathan Bailey as the Scarecrow. I wish we seen more of them, however, as the Scarecrow and as the Tin Man. However, I do understand that Wicked is more so the story of the girls and their friendship and their sisterhood, rather than, like, you know, the Wizard of Oz. That's more where you would see the Tin Man and the Scarecrow. However, I do wish that we'd seen a little bit more, even like just a sliver more. But again, nonetheless, fantastic. And the music, I really enjoyed the two new songs. I know a lot of people didn't enjoy the two new songs. I know a lot of people didn't enjoy Wicked for Good as much as they did Wicked, but I loved it. I loved the songs. I did find that a lot of the time people were saying that the songs weren't necessary, and I'm like, did we watch the same film or did we listen to the same songs? Because yeah, they were. Like, they were both, each song for them individually, like Girl in the Bubble and No Place Like Home, they were so needed, I think, and it was very much to give them another depth, another look into who they are as a person, and another aspect of them and where they stand in the world of Oz and how they can change and how they can be. And like, for example, Elphaba, like, why do I love this place? Like, she keeps calling this place home, and she's like, this place has never loved me. I've always been ridiculed and treated like a random monster creature. Like, you know, I really enjoyed both of the songs. I found them to be really interesting and really necessary, in my opinion. I also really enjoyed both their performances. Ariana Grande, phenomenal. I know that she gets a lot of the hype and a lot of the talk purely because she's Ariana Grande, but I also want to talk about Cynthia Erivo. Like, you have to, this film would not be the film it is without either of them. They both have brought so much to this film and to this world that makes it so special and so just fantastic. And Cynthia Erivo, her character and her character arc and everything that she is as Elphaba, and the way that she plays her, the way that she performs the songs is just, it's so good. And just everything about it. And that end scene, the doll scene for Good, shoot me dead. I have seen it multiple times, and I'm just, that scene broke me, and every single time I cried. Quick little sidetrack, I did get invited to go see the premiere in Sydney, and then I got an email the day before being like, unfortunately we're actually at capacity and we can't accommodate you. And I was like, oh my god, and it was so depressing. However, I ended up watching it anyway, obviously. I had tickets to go and see it at State Theatre in Sydney. I also did my outfit. I created an outfit for it, which is on my Instagram. You should go check it out. I'll also put a photo here. I was really happy with my outfit, and I created it, and I, you know, did all my little detail and things, and it was really fun to do, and it was just made the experience so much better and so much more fun, and just overall just so amazing. And I just love that film. I love those girls and them so much. The characters and the actors, they're phenomenal. And Jonathan Bailey, just amazing, fantastic. And I don't really have anything else to say about it. Just really, it is a fantastic film, and I have truly been changed for good. It is something that I will hold dearly to me and cherish every single day of my life. I listen to the music every single day. You had said to me in like high school when I was like 13, 14, 15, and you said to me like, yeah, like so 10 years ago, and you said to me that I was going to be obsessed with Wicked, I would have laughed in your face and said, loser. There was a time where I found musical theatre and Wicked and all that to be so nerdy and so lame and so like loserish. So thank God that I'm not that same person anymore, and I am so grateful to be in a place where I am today, to be able to watch these films and love them and listen to the music and hear them to my fullest capacity. And I'm very, very grateful for all the films that I've watched this year, for everything. It's been a crazy year, and I'm looking forward to 2026. I'm looking forward to what's to come, and I hope that 2026 is a year full of great films, great music, and just a whole bunch of fun. But with that, that concludes my 2025 film review. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz. I'm hoping to keep 2026 good with videos and content and stuff like that. I really want to focus on that. I know I said that last year. However, things happen, things change, but I really want to try and stick with it and really keep it going. So fingers crossed, I'm going to try my absolute hardest. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Follow me on Instagram, all that jazz, letterbox specifically, because this is where I have all my films and everything. I'm really excited to do this video again next year and do this, and it's such a joy and such a privilege to be able to sit here and do this, and I hope that you guys enjoy it so much. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful new year. I don't know if this is going to go up after or before the year finishes, but nonetheless, I hope you've had an amazing year, and I hope you have an amazing year to come. I hope you have an amazing year. Thank you all so much. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.